Hey everybody, welcome back to the Board Game Specialist. I am Melanie.
And I'm Carla.
So we are on episode 106, and we're actually doing our top 100 of games that we talked in the podcast for the first 100 episode. This was a way of like celebrating our top 100 episode, like episode 100. But doing top 100 when we do 10, that's 10 episode, and we keep interrupting for different things because we just finished doing our top 9 spooky Halloweeny games because we gotta cover that. But now we're back into it. So we're actually going to be covering games 60 to 51. And so we're halfway after this one, we're halfway there. And you've kind of figured it out. We're going to be in the new year by the time we finish this series, right? Yeah. That's funny. And actually, before we started Carla was like, okay, what's this game again? It's on my list. I know I like it, but I need to refresh what it is.
I know.
That's just how old this list is now.
Yeah.
All right. That
2 months ago.
Right? Exactly.
No,
Jeez.
probably longer. Probably like 3-4 months ago.
Crazy. I don't know if we've realized how long this would actually take when we first got started. But I'm enjoying doing it.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, and then every time we come, it's like, oh, yeah, the list. It's like, oh, yeah, this game. So, yeah, no, it's been good.
The list, is still true to my ranking. There might be one on here that maybe would have been ranked a little bit different, but up until now, I think, because you know how day to day something could change, but
yes,
there's one here that maybe would be a little different than what I put on here, but I'll talk about that when I get to it.
There you go. Nice. All right, well, let's get started with this. I'll bring up our presentation, and before we get talking about the top 60 to 51, we're gonna talk a little bit about a game we've been playing. So Carla, what's your gaming been like lately?
Well, I had Car Treat a couple weeks ago, so
yes.
We had a weekend convention, got to play lots of games, teach lots of games, but our friend Bernie brought this one game called Typewriter. Now, this is a word game where you're making words out of these little typewriter keys, and the keys are like acrylic round tiles that are so satisfying. They have like some weight to them. Which adds to the lure of this game for me. But what you're doing is you all start with some, I think, 4 major continents. Why can't I say that word? Vowels? And,
not vowels.
No, and I want to say continent.
Consonant, isn't it?
No,
consonant.
Will laugh at us for this.
Jeez, because I'm French, so it's voyelle.
Everybody knows what I mean.
Yeah, we know what you mean. Not consonants.
Anyway, so you have this player board, which is a typewriter, and you start with your little thumbs up on the 0, and so you're using all these letters that you start with, plus you pull a few out of the bag, and then you all have this common vowel that you can use. And now you're going to spell words from all these little typewriter keys. Now, some of them have like abilities on them that will let you like flip a key, or it'll let you bank one. And the whole point of the game is to bank these like letters, and you want to get the high point letters banked. And then if you can star them, which would be moving them from the left to the right of your player board, even better, because then you'll get to add all the stars on them. And so anyway, you are making these words, and then and you kind of go turn by turn. So you can kind of make your words all at the same time, but you have to like show your word like on your turn. And then once you've made your word, you will add up all the points on it, and that's where you'll move your typewriter meter, and you'll move it up. And then you're going to flip all those letters. So they're always different from one side to the other. There'll be a letter and sometimes an ability on the other side, or a different letter on the other side. And you can see on the bottom which one is on the other side. So if you had a key that said you can flip one, then you could maybe flip before you're spelling your word because you really wanted that T or something. But did you get a chance to play this at Car Treat?
I didn't.
No. Oh, I thought you were sitting there. Okay. But yeah, no, it's really cool. So then you will move up your meter, and once you want to use the abilities on your meter, you can use as many as of each. You can use one of each color, and there's green, blue, and then there's like a orangish tan color, which is if you get to the end. But if not, you can use an is it purple? And I can't see the colors now, but I think it's green. It's definitely a green and a purple, I think. So what those different things are is you can bank a letter, you can star a letter, you can flip a key, you can get a wild token that is like any letter, but it'll still give you a point. And then once you've used your meter, it goes right back to 0. And then you'll build up, slowly build it up again, and then try to like bank more letters, especially like, the J's and Q's and all those hard consonants. No, that's not it.
Are you sure it's not consonants? That sounds right.
Today I wrote another word that sounded so weird to me, and I'm like, is that actually the word? I gotta think of it now. It was such a weird squint. So I was listening to a podcast, and they said squint, and I'm like, squint?
That's not a word.
Is that the word? And I had to look it up, and I'm like, have you ever had that where you all of a sudden will see a word?
Me, it's more like spelling. I'll be spelling it as that doesn't look right.
That doesn't look
I don't
right.
think this is spelled correctly. And then you check it, it's like, no, it is. It's like, really? Or disgusting with a G. That bugs me. In my mind, it's a C. Disgusting.
Disgusting? Oh, okay.
But
so, I don't know if this is really set Alzheimer's that I'm getting, because like some of these words are like, what? That's not the right way to spell it, or
that can't be it. That's why we're playing board games. Keep our minds sharp.
But that's the point of why I do play them, because years ago I had some memory issues, and so I had read how board games were, so good for it, so dove right into it. But
obviously it means we need to play some more.
Yeah, just need to keep playing more. Anyway.
Yeah.
So my English language grammar is terrible, but anyway, back to the game. It's such a fun game because you are like building these words, and then you always get to grab a letter out of the middle, so you're just going to have more and more of letters to be able to build words. And then there's always an event, and it can affect you in good ways or bad ways. Sometimes it'll give everybody a new letter, or let you flip one that you want, let you use an ability, because you can use up to 3 per word. Nice. And then I think there's only 9 rounds. And then you all add up your banked letters and your starred letters, and then that's the winner. But it's just so satisfying using those keys and the abilities to be able to make words. I was watching Bernie teach this game to people, and he was playing with 2 people with very high vocabulary, and their words were like 9, 10 letters long.
Nice.
He's like, look, I'm playing with Carl, and he's spelling this like long word or whatever.
I'd be like, so cat.
Yeah. Ironically, I'm playing against Carl on BGA. I'm playing Letter Tycoon, which is another spelling one.
Nice.
He's just destroying me on there because he has this large vocabulary of big words.
Nice.
I'm writing like tent and stuff like that. But I do have some big words that I do get in there every once in a while. But Typewriter is really cool. I hadn't heard much about it at all.
No, but it looks
cool. I think I heard a bad review about it, and that was why I didn't get it. Because it's one of those Tim Fowers games where he does a lot of spelling games, and this was kind of his newer one. I don't think he's had a new one since, but I passed up on it because of a bad review, and then Bernie he's like, you got to try this. You're going to like it. And I just loved it.
No, you're like, darn it. You did? I'm not surprised.
So I have it now, and it'll be good because I can play with my non-gamer friends because they will play spelling
word games
too,
yeah,
and word games. So, and they're good at them too. So
that's nice
and fun to play. But yeah, what have you been playing?
Well, yeah. So, like Typewriter, I'm gonna just want to touch base. I personally love word games, even though I'm not always good at it. Like, I never took English grammar. I went to school in French until college, and then I went in accounting, so there was no language covered there. So I'm not great at them, but I like them. But nobody in my family, even though they're all like pure English, hates them. So it's not the kind of game I get to play very often. But I do enjoy them, and I have a lot of word games. I just gotta play some more. All right, so for myself, now this month, I feel like October was really bad for playing games. On Thanksgiving weekend, because we celebrate Thanksgiving in October in Canada. So on Thanksgiving weekend, my sister announced that she was getting married. Well, coming up. She didn't announce a date at that time. And then I was going to do a Halloween party on November 2nd, and she called me. She's like, hey, we're going to come, but we're going to be late. I was like, oh, okay. She's like, yeah, I'm getting married that day. Because so we're just going to get married with the Justice of the Peace kind of. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, I think we should cancel the Halloween party. She said, no, it's fine. But then turns out you can't just go to court and get married in Alberta, or at least not since COVID or something. So she asked my brother to officiate the wedding. So then she's like, well, if Tommy's going to be there, then I have to invite Melanie and mom and dad. And then it became like too big for her house. So then it was being held at my house and she was coming after for the Halloween party anyways. And then it was like, okay, kibosh the Halloween party. This is a wedding now. And so it just seems like, well, my game room was all changed and decorated for our wedding. And, you know, like there was a bunch of like prep stuff that needed to happen. So I was going to go to Car Treat for the weekend and I changed it to just a one day because I didn't know what kind of prepping thing would have to happen then either. And that was the weekend before the wedding. But it's over now. But it just seems like I hadn't played in so long. Even though like my playing stats weren't horrible. It just, other than Car Treat, I was just like, I'm getting really bad board gaming craving. And then Lee's like, okay, let's play. I was like, yes, let's play. So we sat down and we played After Us, which is like a for real game, right? Like it's not just like something you squeeze in real quick. This is a good, real decent game. So After Us is, and this one is really interesting because it's a deck building game and you're collecting cards. But what's really interesting is you have 4 cards and you arrange them in the order that you want to create these black boxes. And anything that kind of creates a closed black box, you get to activate that. And then the top one will give you kind of resources. The middle row will kind of give you things that you can trade for. And then the bottom row kind of does different things. And then with those resources, you can purchase more cards or do different things. And it was so satisfying, I think, just because it had been so long since it felt like such a long time since I played a decent game in my house. But it's so cool. Plus, you watch this, and we kind of had recently watched a whole Planet of the Apes series with all, like, the new movies. And this just, you look at it, and it's Planet of the Apes, right? Like, so I was like, oh, we should watch this again. So it was neat. I really quite enjoy this one. And it's kind of like a race game. So the first one to reach 80 points kind of triggers the end of the game. And then whoever has the most points win. And I was able to kind of like, you can build on your rage and you can spend rage to discard cards to get you things. So I had built up my rage. So at the very end, when I was like a few points away from winning, I just discarded some of the cards that allowed me to get points and kind of sneaked by before Lee could make it there. So then I won. But yeah, no, it was super satisfying. I really, really enjoy this game. Artwork is super cool. Like the decision you're making and then that sorting of the cards, that is something so unique. I have not come across that in any other game, but it's so satisfying. And I quite enjoyed it. And then I was finally got a game to the table. And that was After Us.
Awesome.
Yeah, so let's get started with our top 60 to 51, and we're going to start with you, Carla. So what was your number 60?
All right, my number 60 was Yedo. Now, this was the one we were talking about right before where I said, oh, I got to look up this game again. I mean, I remember the game, but not specifics because it's been over a year since I played this game, but I do love it. I had purchased the deluxe copy after I'd played it and then played it a few times after and haven't got it back to the table. There's just so many games, but this is such a neat game because you start off with like kind of an auction for your actions. So you kind of bid on what you're going to do in a different type of bidding way. Like it's not, if you're someone who doesn't like auctions, still try this game because it doesn't feel like an auction really. It just feels like, you're like, do I I want to just pay a little bit more to do something I really want to do. It's not like a normal bidding game. But then once everybody's chosen their actions, then they get to choose, or they get to place out their workers, and you can get more workers, and it's neat because they have some that have like asymmetrical powers and can go to different things and do different things. But you're going around the city and you are completing some missions. So you can see there that there's like different colors of cards, and those are the different types of missions, and they'll go from easy to hard, the green being the easiest. And so you'll have, I think you start with a couple in your hand, and then you're just basically trying to complete those because they will give you some bonuses once you complete them. But to complete them, you need different things. So you might need these like little, is it geisha girls that you need to, and then there's like
weapons,
meditation tokens or something. Weapons, you can go and get weapons and have a bunch of those. You can actually trade those, which is neat in a, if two people are in the same spot, I believe, or something. You can also go and hire, you can build these little buildings. I don't know if they're even called buildings, but it's like a dojo and different things that you can use your worker to go to. And some of them will give you different things like upgrades for actions that you do. But it's neat because if you go to a place to do a mission, because all the missions have a certain location that they need to be completed at.
Yes.
Now you have to make sure there'll be a spot for you there. And so I can't remember how many workers you start with, but you'll place them around, and then you go like in turn order, which is very important in this one, because if you go and then somebody takes that spot, because you go to the spot, but then you kind of move down to where you actually want to go in that area. And if those spots are taken and you have a mission to complete and you can't get there, then you have to wait till the next round. So it's very, very planny. Like you need to plan out what you're doing. Make sure that there's going to be a spot for you if you really want to complete that mission. The black missions are very difficult.
Oh, they're so hard.
You need to have a whole bunch of stuff. I think I've maybe done one or two. I don't know. Maybe it was a pipe dream, but I feel like I've done one of them. But it was such a neat game, and I got taught at your house. I think Ken taught us this game.
Yeah.
Was it your copy, or was that his?
Yeah,
copy?
It was my copy we played.
And it was just so neat. Different, like really, really unique. But I would say if you have not tried this game, give it a try. And that's my number 60, Yedo.
And the thing was really interesting with this one too, because you have like that middle guy that goes and blocks a spot every round.
Right.
And you got to remember that he's about to move, because if you're there, you get arrested, so you end up losing your action. So
and you can see where he's going to go, so you can plan it that way. You also
unless you play a card that can affect it.
Yeah, and can actually go in there. Everybody starts with one, I think.
Yeah,
and you can get more. And there's two different decks of cards there where they're like little bonuses that you can use. Like one of them is that where I can actually go to that place where I'm not allowed to go, kind of thing. Those are handy, all those bonus cards too. But it's a really neat game.
And the different dojo, I could never get them. They were all gone every time. But yeah, I know Yedo was super cool. And if you're doing the alphabet challenge, this is a great Y game.
Yeah, there you go.
Because otherwise, like, gosh, like there's not that many Y games. That tends to be a hard letter. Yeah. But yeah, no, great pick. All right, my number 60 is Roll for the Galaxy. Now, Roll for the Galaxy, I'm going to give like a caveat to it. This is the game, if you're playing the first time, expect to play halfway through the game before you understand what you're trying to do. I found it was that way when I first played it. It was that way for everybody I've taught it to. Now, maybe that's just talking, about my skills for teaching a game. But
that's true. I'll tell you a story about this one after.
But once you get it, they'd be like, oh, yeah, I get it. But it's too late. You're not winning that game. Like, you've messed yourself up too much. But the next game is really good. And I really, really enjoy this game. So this is definitely very much a deck building or an engine building game. But you have these dice, and you have like certain dice that you start with, And when you're like in income phase, you'll be like rolling the dice to see what symbols you can get. Now you can discard 2 dice to turn 1 dice into any symbols that you want, but you're spending a lot of dice to be able to do that. Excuse me, I'm choking on absolutely nothing.
Air.
Jeez. Anyways, so out of the symbol that, okay, I'm gonna have to take some water.
I'll hydrate too.
Well, that was weird. But anyway, so with the symbols that you roll, you will select one to place on the activation board. And this is done behind a screen. Nobody sees what you're picking. But you're going to pick the action you want to complete this round. Everybody's going to do that. Now, if everybody picked the same action, that's the only action that's going to happen. And then with the rest of your dice, you're going to tuck them underneath to kind of show what you want to do. You can do a little bit of dice manipulation there to kind of activate certain things that you may not have rolled. So there's a way to manipulate the dice. But then if that action gets activated, like so in this case, if the circle action gets activated, I would get to do it with 3 dice. So I get to do that action like 3 times. So you're kind of pick the action you really want, but you kind of hope that some of the other actions get selected so you can accomplish more. It's so neat. Plus, like, once you've kind of produce the ship, and then you can add these tiles to because you're building this tableau with all these tiles, and then depending on what you have for the tiles, they'll produce different goods. And then those goods you can sell or you can trade for points. Points technically is how you win the game, but if you trade for different things that you can get more and build up your whole thing. It is just such a really cool game. Like I said, it's not a simple one to grasp off the top of your head. Like, you're gonna have to be exposed to it and get doing it a little bit before you be like, oh, okay, I understand what we're doing now. Like, it's a bit more complex in that way, but it's so good. It's so good. I absolutely love this one, and that is Roll for the Galaxy. So obviously you've played this one, Carla?
Yeah, I've only played it once. I do want to try it again, but it'll probably be similar to my first one because I'd have to
it's been too long.
It. So we used to have this cafe, this board game cafe in our city. It was the only one, and it was only open Saturday evenings, and we'd go there, and it was open from 6 to 11. So, and we would play, 3 or 4 games, 2, 3, 4, depending how long the games were. But I think this one was kind of near the end of the night, and someone pulled out. They're like, "Let's learn this one."
Oh my god! Yeah,
knew how to play. And the person who was like leading the teach basically just read the rule book to us. I don't learn that way. There's no way somebody just reads me a book that I'm gonna listen. I need to do, touch, feel, look at the components. Like, I need to, usually when I learn a game, I watch a video, I read the rule book, I set it up, I play it. I usually have played it wrong. And then I, either go
watch the video again.
Back to a video. I just take a long time to learn something. Once I do know it, I usually will stick, unless, a year's gone by and then I have to kind of refresh. But this was, one of those nights where we're like, I still don't know. I don't have a clue still. But she could understand it. Like, this girl could just read it and understand the rules. So she was playing it and she was doing fabulous. And the rest of us were just like you said, halfway through, we were like, okay, I'm kind of getting it now,
Yeah.
But it was just all the like colorful dice that was like, yeah, let's learn this one.
It's a cool looking game, but it is a fun game once you grasp it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, neat. No, I do want to try this one again for sure. Awesome. Well, my number 59 is a nice light one, and that's called Parks. Now, this one is like a kind of a rondel, but it's just a straight path. So you go one way, you can't go back. You get to the end, and then you do another 3 rounds, I believe. And you are hikers, and you're moving along this path, and you're collecting resources like sunshine, trees, water, mountains, and what you're using those things to do is to visit parks. So you have these beautiful tarot card pictures of national parks in the United States. I really wish they'd make one for Canada, but anyway. And so once you get to the end, you have the option of visiting a park, and there's 3 out on display, and you can see what resources they need. So you can choose one of those, and if you don't have the resources for it, you can reserve a park. So you will just kind of take it and turn it sideways, showing that you have not visited that park, so you haven't paid for it, basically. You can also do things like purchase gear these cards that will make things cheaper or just juicier to go to different places. You can also just take like the first player token. And the reason you might want to do that is at the end of the game, if you have it, it'll be worth an extra point. You can also, at the end, there's one more thing you can do, I gotta think. But anyway, so you are collecting these cards. There's another spot you can go to along the path where you can get wild animals, and they are these all different types of wild animals, and they are literally wild tokens. Now, all the tokens are these wooden tokens that come in these beautiful trays. Mm-hmm. And you always this is the base game. It doesn't come like I'm 99% sure you can't get a game with cardboard tokens in this. I think this is literally base where it's all wooden tokens. There's 2 game trays, so you put one on each side. There's like enough for everybody. You can also take pictures. And so what that is somebody starts with a camera, and you can go to this one spot and take pictures to give up some tokens, but these are literally just a point per picture. And so if you don't have the camera, you can get the camera by taking a picture right there, pairing 2 tokens and having the camera. And then at the end of the trail, again, if you have the camera, you can snap another picture. Just gives you more ways of making points. You all start with an end game card that you have options. You get 3, I think, and you choose 1. And it might say like you want to have at least 2 to 3 parks that have 3 trees on them each. And then if you had 5 to 6, you would get so many points. 2 to 3, you'd get so many points. So it just helps for more end game points. Mm-hmm. There's an expansion. It's like a camping expansion, which involves tents and a different location you can go to from the trail, which is really neat, but it's not necessary. Like, just the base game in this is beautiful, and it's just really lovely. And when I first got it, after a while, when I was kind of almost done with my lighter to medium weight games and just into the heavy games, I was like, I don't know if I need this anymore. But then I went back to a lot of my lighter medium games and found the deeper strategy in them. And it's neat because if I play this game, and you can play this with anyone, it just becomes a different type of game. But if I play it with gamers, then it becomes a different game again, because there's more strategy that you can go deeper into. I love games like that where it can be played on different levels. Mm-hmm. And you can just have it where you're drinking coffee, you're just kind of going along. But if you're playing serious, you can really focus on like your next 3 moves kind of thing. And it just can be all those kind of things. And I just love it. And that is my number 59, Parks.
Yeah, Parks is great. Beautiful. And then that trail that you go on, how you can block each other, kind of really keeps it interesting.
Yeah, you can go on a space with someone else, but then you flip your campfire, and then you can't.
You can only do it once.
That again until you get to the end. You do have 2 hikers always on the path, which is nice too. Mm-hmm. But so there's some little other things that I didn't mention, but it's a really neat game. I really do like it. And there's like
and it's one of those that's easy to get to the table as well.
Yes, it is.
And nice. All right, my number 59 is a little bit more complex. Look at me with all the complex game that are hard to learn. And my number 59 is Heaven and Ale. Oh, yeah. And this one is really interesting. Like, it is really interesting. The first time I played this one was at FallCon, my very first FallCon in 2018. And I had watched a video a little bit on how to play. And then in that video, they're like, here's a strategy you could try, and actually end up winning. So the strategy worked. But you have the rondelle thing and you have your meeple, and it's one of those things where you can go as far as you want, but you can't come backwards, so you're skipping stuff. So be careful how far you go. But you'll go on a different location and it'll do different things. You'll have tiles that'll give you ingredients that you can add to your player board. And the player board has a light version and a dark version. Now, the cost is different if you put on the light version than the dark version. The dark version tends to be cheaper and it gives you kind of money to be able to spend. But the light version moves that ingredients forward on the track, because you have the track that goes along the side of the board that has like all different start location for the different ingredients to make your ale, I guess. But what's really interesting is at the end of the game, you have like your main score that's kind of your character that will kind of, however far he reach, gives you a multiplier. So let's say I go all the way to, I don't know, and I get a multiplier of 5. Then you're going to take your ingredient that's at the lowest position, and they don't count until they make it around the first corner. Before that, it's 0, but you take the ingredient that's in the lowest position. So you can see at the top corner starts with 1, 2, 3, 4. And then wherever the lowest position is, then you multiply that by 5. So it doesn't pay to concentrate on go all the way up with the one thing. You gotta make sure that everything gets tucked along. And that's going to be by what you pick in the rondelle. It's going to be by what you place on your player board. Because once you surround the village, you can activate the tiles that you have on there. And depending on what you put, what you can... Well, it's depending on the value around the village will indicate what tiles you can activate. But there's some benefits in doing lower values and there's some benefits in having like a higher value. So you kind of want to try to have a variety. But so when you think of it, there's a lot going on in this game. Plus you have these barrels in the middle that are kind of end of game scoring. First one to complete certain tasks will take the big barrel. The second person to complete it gets the little barrel. That'll give you points at the end of the game. So really, when you think of it, there's a lot going on in this game. There's a lot of different little things going on in this game. It's really good. It's really good. I really enjoy this one. It's not one that's like, oh, hey, never played this. Let's pick it up and play right now. Like, it's gonna be a considerable teach. Like, it's gonna take a moment to kind of go over everything that you need to be aware of to play this game, but it is such a cool game. And that is my number 59.
Yeah, I like this one too. I don't own this one. I think we had you bring it to like a convention sometime. And then you were going to teach us.
I did the teach, or something, and I had to leave, and you guys packed it up and didn't play.
I think because we needed more questions. We had more questions, and you had to go play a game, so we're like, oh,
yeah,
well, we won't figure this out. But yeah, I had played it a long time ago, and I did really like it. But yeah, I couldn't figure it out. So yes, we'll have to play this again. So.
Yes.
Awesome. So my number 58 is Azul Summer. Now, this is the third one in the Azul series, and it was slowly becoming my favorite. I think the original for me is still just such an easy go-to game that I play all the time on BGA and on the table. But this one is getting up there. Like, it's getting close to the first one for me. I just love it. It is the traditional, you draft from the factories like you would in Azul. So you have these round tiles and there's always 4 of these beautiful acrylic tiles on them. And you are going to draft a color. So every time you draft a color from the tile, you take all of that color. Now with this one, it's a little bit different because it has wild. So every round there's a different wild token or color. And if that color is on the factory, you will take one of those. So you'll take the color you're drafting plus 1 wild. So if there was 2, you would leave that one and it would go into the middle, just like Azul, how you take, and then the rest go in the middle. And what's different about this as well is that you just set the tiles aside. You don't put them on your board until the everything is drafted for that round. So you just go around and draft until all the tiles are taken. And then you start putting them on your board. Now your board is quite different because you have these 2, 4, 6, 7 stars. And they're actually, are they pentagrams? I can't count. I can't see close enough to see how the number of their shape. But they are all placed all around this board. Not placed, they're on the board, and you are placing the tiles on them. So you have an orange, a red, purple, blue, green, and yellow. And then the middle is, it has no color, basically. You have to put one of each color on the base side of the game board anyway. When you flip it over, it's different, I believe. But so, and in each of the spots on the star, there are a number. So it'll have like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is it? 1,
Yeah, 6.
Yeah, 6. And so on the 1, you would put, if it was on the green, I would put 1 green tile there. If it was a 4, I'd have to put 4 green tiles. I'd have to have 4 green tiles. I'd put 1, throw 3 into the little tower. There's a nice little cardboard tower that you can throw all the used tokens. And then once the bag is empty, it's easy. You just fill it back up. It's really nice and handy. But it's neat because you're trying to fill up these stars. But what you're also trying to do is in between all these stars are these little icons. And when you surround one completely, it gives you a bonus. And you go over to this other board that has bonus chips that are the same, but they're just pulled out of the bag randomly, and you get to draft them. So if you cover up a certain icon, you get to choose 1. If you cover up a different one, it's 2. And then the big trophy one is 3. And you get to take 3 of those. So it just adds to like what you're going to do, because if you can pull more tokens out to like surround another one, then you get to pull another one, like more tokens out. And it's just so satisfying because it's a lot more engine buildy than the first one. It's very different, but still has a bit of that feel because you're drafting the tiles and still putting out beautiful colors onto a player board, which I love. But it's really neat. And this one is also on BGA, so you can play the original Azul and this one there. Play it quite a bit. I love it, but I do love playing this on the table, of course. And yeah, that's my number 58, Azul Summer.
When I first played this one, I was under the mindset that I do not need to own every version of a game. So I already own Azul. I'm not even going to look at these ones. But I was also of the impression that if I was to pick one today, because I didn't own any Azul, Summer Pavilion is the one I would have picked.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Now, I've since kind of got over that a little bit now. I am okay to complete collections now. That's how it gets out of control. Yeah. But yeah, this one is interesting. I've never played the stained glass one, so I can't compare it to that. But this one was it added a little bit more, but not so much like the Queen's Garden that's like,
that one's a little more chunkier.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right,
between the two for sure.
Yeah. It has a higher complexity than original Azul, but it's still manageable, and you could introduce this to new players.
Yes, you could.
Yeah. All right, my number 58 is a game that I will probably never play again. But it was a really good game, and that is Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. Now, so keep in mind, I'm not big into campaign game. I like to have variety. We are at game 19 on this one, and 19 games into it, at this point, it's starting to feel a little samey for me and Lee, and then we're just like, let's just call it quits. We had to talk, and I had Gloomhaven, I did not bother with Frosthaven, and then after, it took me 3 years to make it halfway through Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. I'm just not a campaign game person. I know this about me. But this game was really cool. We quite enjoy it. And it's kind of really interesting, because you have your deck. Your character will level up and build up, and you get better cards as you progress. You can spend gold to get items to add to those cards as well. And then every turn, you will select 2 cards, one to activate the top action, one to activate the bottom action. It's a cooperative game. You are working with each other, but you can't discuss this things with you. Plus, it's a table hog. There's a lot to have on the table. Everything barely fits in the box, but it's really cool. So you get a lot for what you pay for with this game. Then depending on the level is the level the monsters are going to be. And you have like, what's cool too is with the setup, every scenario is in the book. So you kind of flip to the book. It's mostly set up. You just add the guys and your characters, and then you try to defeat that particular scenario. Plus with Jaws of the Lion, the first 5 scenarios are kind of part of the tutorial to slowly build up to everything you need to know. Because this game can be a little involved with how to select your card, how to battle, how that all works. Plus my character, I'm not much of a fighter. I don't have a lot of fighting cards, but I'm bigger into influencing what's around me. So either have monsters fight other monsters or have the other players fight the monsters and give them extra attack and that sort of stuff. So that's kind of more what my character would do. But it seemed that every time, and I have low, what is the word? To kind of figure out the turn orders, like however, like the cards you select.
Or something like that.
Yeah, and I have fairly low initiative because it's based on the numbers of the card that you select. So I'm almost always the last player to go. And Lee will always move out of range so I can no longer influence him to do extra attack. So it's like, stop moving away from me. So then I have to change on the fly. So then I was like, okay, well, I picked these 2 cards because I was going to do this and this, but I can't do this now. So there is always like a base action you can do instead. And it's like, well, is that worth it? Or do I want to kind of swap the card and do that top action now? And like, there is a lot involved with it. This game is so interesting. It's very neat. I have played it 19 plus times, so that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
But I think I'm done. I think I just want to try other. I have other campaign games that I'm gonna not want to complete, so I should get started with some of those. But yeah, I think this is like, it's been 3 years. It's time to move on to other stuff. But it was just like, we got to the point where like, okay. And then we would bring it out and play it. And then we did it with just me and Lee playing it because scheduling is tough. If it's anybody that doesn't like live with you, when do you get together? And now we're getting together. We got to play this game. If you tell me we have to play this one, that makes me want to play it less, right? So
yeah.
But yeah, no, but it is a great game. It definitely belongs in the top 100 list. It's good. I'm just done. And that's my number 58, Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion.
No, I get it. I'll be talking about something similar.
There we go.
Near the end here, but all right. So that was your number 58. My number 57 is a big, heavy one. Well, for me anyway. This is Teotihuacan. Now, this one is, if you look at this player board or just the whole setup of this game, it just looks crazy. I've showed this to my non-gamer friends. One of them, I'm like, one day I'm going to teach you this. And she's like, what? Are you crazy? But I just love the look of it. If you see this board out, it's like a what's it, Messianic, like temples, a pyramid, that big pyramid in the middle that you were trying to build,
right? These
chunky tiles. There's these tracks you're going to go up. On the one side, there's 8 different boards that you will move to with your worker dice, and you have a working force of these dice basically that you are moving around the board and taking actions and building the pyramid and putting decorations on the pyramid and moving up the track of the dead, I think it's called, by building some houses But you also need to go and collect wood, stone, and gold. There's also a place where you can get technology, which is going to give you things every time you go to a certain location. So you want to build up that, of course. You can go and meditate. I think they use a different word, and so it's a different action on each of the board. Then that dice is locked there. And then there's a way to unlock your dice as well. But then you can collect these little masks, and these masks are all different masks that are like, just the art on them is so beautiful. And they are kind of a set collection for the end of the game. There's a lot going on in this game. I'm actually playing this right now on BGA with Adrian from
oh, nice.
Game Barbecue.
Yes. Yeah.
Board game. I'm blanking, but yeah, Board Game Barbecue, right?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, that's what it's called. And so,
what is with you today? Not believing anything.
My brain is not working today. At work.
That can't be right. Yeah.
Weird too. I was out till lunch, but anyway. So we're playing this, and I feel like I'm just trying to keep up with them because I haven't played this in a while, and to play it on there is even more challenging for me. A heavy game on BGA is quite challenging for me because I like to have it all in front of me so I can look and scan and see things. But when it's on a screen, for me, it's very difficult. But I do love this game, and it's just beautiful, beautiful to look at. There's so much going on that I can't talk about it all, but it is awesome. I know there was a big remake of this game and came out with all the expansions, which I already have. So I didn't actually buy the remake because it was basically the same game, but in a prettier box that fit everything. But it is worth it because there's just so much going on. It's so different with the type of dice mechanic in this as workers, because every time you go to a location, you level them up one.
Okay.
And then once they get to a 6, they, of course, I can't think of the word, but they like go to heaven kind of thing. And then they go back to a 1 and you come back onto the board.
They resurrect.
Yeah, they do something. I can't think of the word.
Nice.
Now, but it's just such a fun game and very, very thinky. I was actually taught this game. This was the first game I was ever taught at a convention, the first Gobfest I went to.
Nice.
And it like stuck with me. I got absolutely destroyed in that game, but I met some good friends at that table and just continued playing with them. And then of course I purchased this game and I love it to this day. It's quite an older game too. So it's one you should check out, but that's my number 57, Teotihuacan.
Nice. This game was set up and taught and played at my very first Melcon in 2019.
Oh, really?
I didn't play it and I still haven't played it, but it was gonna they went downstairs and set it up because we had table like across the house and they're like, okay, so it was kind of like, this is gonna be a heavy one. Heavy gamers go down there so you can concentrate. And I looked at it, I was like, whoa. But yeah, no, I still haven't played it. So it'll have to go on my to play eventually.
Yeah.
All right, my number 57 is as simple as a game can be. Which is probably why it's on my list, because it's such an easy one to get to the table and play. And with Jerome, because Jerome, my oldest, does he won't play games. And then I was like, come on, let's play this one. And he's like, all right, fine. I wore him down and we played it and he's like, oh, this one was actually good. So, and that is Splendor. So Splendor is super simple. You have taught these poker chips. Okay, first of all, component, those poker chips, nice chunky, are so satisfying to just play with while you're having them. But on your turn, you can either take 2 of one color or you can take 3 different colors. And you're collecting these poker chips that have different gems. And then when you have the number of chips that you need to be able to acquire the card, you can buy the card, and that card gives you a permanent gem that you have available to acquire more cards. And then once you have a lot of different cards that'll give you access to different gems, you can then also kind of attract some of the nobles to you, which are also worth points. Some of the bigger cards are worth points as well, and it's the first player to get to can't remember if it's 16 or 18 points, but the first player to get to that point triggers the end of the game, and it's whoever has the most points win. We played this not too long ago, and my sister's husband now and Lee tied for the win. And the tiebreaker was whoever had the most chips. And Lee's like, what? Because he's hogging them all, he wins the game? He's like... So, oh my god, it was hilarious. But this is so, like, it's super simple to play. It is so satisfying. I absolutely like this one. I've played the Marvel one, which is super fun as well. Is it Marvel or, like, it's with the Infinity Stone. And Splendor Duel changes it completely to kind of make it kind of interesting as a two-player game. But you can totally play Splendor two players. There's no reason why you can't. I just really like this one. This one is easy to play. It's pleasant to play when you are playing it, and everybody I've shown it to has really enjoyed it. So that's my number 57, Splendor.
Yeah, that one's a classic for sure.
Yeah.
All right, my number 56 is Meadow. Now, Meadow is a card tableau building game with this beautiful art of all these forest animals, field animals, just gorgeous, like watercolor. Is that how you would?
Yeah, they're like watercolor art.
Watercolor art, yeah. And so how you're building this tableau is you have this big grid of cards in front of you, and you all have these player tokens going from 1 to 4 and then a wild. And you are going to draft a card by placing it into a slot. So just kind of like if you've ever played Quadropolis, you will do the same kind of thing. So if I were to place it in the bottom left, I could choose something in that column of, depending on the number I put there. If I put it in the bottom left on a number 4, I would get that number 4 card from the bottom. So there would be 4 cards. The top left card would be mine. And then that spot would be taken. It will refill because somebody could get that card by putting a 1 on the top left of the side and it pointing to it. It's hard to describe if you're not watching this. But, it's a really unique way of drafting these cards. And so what you're doing with these cards is they go into your hand, and depending what token you played. So if the token I played said, I get to play 2 cards. So out of my hand, I get to play 2 cards. Now, how you play them is you start with this one terrain, and it's a little slug, I believe, and you can choose either side of what it is, and there's different terrain on them. And if the card I'm playing required that terrain, I can put it on there. Now, some cards require a terrain and another animal. So then I have to have those in my tableau somewhere and then put it on top of one of the cards that it is the requirement. I have to have them both laid out somewhere. But so you find yourself, putting your cards on top, and then you go back to play another one. You're like, oh, I covered the one up I needed for this other one. So you're trying to figure out, it's a very light to medium game, but it still has that little thinky element of like, okay, I need to build that wolf or whatever it is and fox, but I need to have this, I need to have that, and I've covered 2 of those already. So now I got to go back to the board, get those things because I really want to play this. And then on top of that, then there's this little hiking board where this hiker moves around, which is the rounds. Depending on player count, there's a different amount of rounds. But you can also go there and put your little token in there, not draft a card, and complete an end game, or not end game goal, a goal. It's a race to these goals. So it's kind of neat because depending on player count, there's these different goals that are formed a circle. And so you would place one of your tokens in between 2 of them. You would have had to have complete the 2 and you'd place your token there. And then next time maybe you've completed another one, you would go there again and put it in another slot. That one is a race because it's neat because some will, like one side might be a butterfly and the other side might be a wolf. And you would had to have those those icons in your tableau to put your token there. And it's neat because sometimes you have games where you're just flying through and you're making these like goals happen and someone else just can't get it because they can't get the cards. They're trying to do it, but they're still building up their tableau with some big point cards because every card on it, if it's not just terrain, has points on it. So you're trying to, of course, get some high points that way. But then there's another little part of it where you have these little householders. I feel like they're like little pathways, and you can draft these cards that are houses and you'll put them on, and then you can get like treasures to put on top of the houses to add more points. And it's just so neat and lovely and beautiful. There's like a little river expansion that adds something to it. I don't actually have it. I played it and it's really neat, but it's not necessary again. Base game is awesome, but they are coming out with a little adventure book that you can do. So you can do, I don't know if it's just a solo adventure, but you kind of go through all these different scenarios, which I'm looking forward to. But it's neat. Another neat thing about this game is it comes with these envelopes of cards. And so there's about 4, 5, 6 cards in there. And in the back, you'll look and it'll say, have you had an encounter like with an animal? If so, open envelope P. And so you open it and all these new cards come out, and you just mix them in with the cards. But if you look at them, like one of them is open on Christmas morning, and you open it and there's like this beautiful Christmas tree in there, but like in the forest kind of thing.
Nice.
And they're just,
I haven't opened any of those envelopes yet.
Oh, you haven't?
No, I need to. I keep forgetting, but I just don't play it enough to be like, okay, let's go add the envelope.
Well, ironically, I have this set up on my table. I'm going to play
nice.
And I just went through the back to see, like, is there some that I still haven't opened? There's a couple. There's a few that you don't open unless something has happened in the game. But there was one about an encounter, and I literally just a few days ago encountered a large moose again, very close up, with her baby, like literally less than 6 feet away. Didn't do a thing. I had 2 dogs off leash. And
poor Carla. She's like, doesn't believe animals can attack now because they never do.
I've been so close to so many moose in my town. They have never come. I haven't even budged.
Mind you, if they make their way into, if you make their way into Red Deer, they've probably been domesticated to a certain point. I didn't trust them on the farm.
Yeah, but anyway, so I opened this packet and mixed it all in, and it's
nice,
really cool cards in there. But yeah, it's a really, really nice, pretty game, and the mechanics are really cool too. And that's my number 56, Meadow.
Very nice. My number 56 is also an animal game. Ooh. A little different though. It's Raptor.
Oh. Quite different.
A little bit different. Yeah. So Raptor is a 2-player game. One person plays as a scientist, and their goal is to capture some baby raptors so you can do some, like, study them and do, like, stuff like that. The other person is the mother raptor, and she does not want her babies to be taken, so she's trying to protect them. And it is very interesting. Now, one thing that I didn't realize playing the game that kind of took me by surprise is the actual mechanism of how this works. Because you're going to have like a deck of cards. You draw, I think it's 3. And you're going to pick a card to put down, face down in front of you. Now, that card can have like a special ability that you can activate, but it also has a number. Then the other player does the same thing. Now, this is like my cards are unique to me. The other player's cards are unique to them, depending on who we're playing. But then we're going to reveal the cards. So whoever has the lowest value is going to activate the special ability. Whoever has the highest value is going to get action points for the difference. So if I played a 6 and the other player played a 3, then I get to activate 3 actions. And depending on who I am, what those different actions can be. So if I'm the scientist, I can blow a dart, like a tranquilizer dart, at one of the babies. or at the mom and so on. Now, if the baby is tranquilized, you lay it down, and then you need to move another scientist to go and grab that baby and try to bring it off the board. That's kind of the goal. The mom is trying to get her babies off the board and away from the scientist, or to eat the scientist so that they leave us alone. But if I'm tranquilized, let's say I'm the mama raptor, and I'm tranquilized by one, then I have to spend one action just to kind of shake it off. Now, if I have 2 tranquilizer guns in me, then I'm going to have to spend 2 action just to shake it off and do so it is really interesting. And how it plays. So, and then it's me and Lee, we played this quite a few times. And then at first he's like, okay, it's the scientist. They can't win. Let's swap it up. And I played as a scientist, and it wasn't the scientist that was the problem. But it's first of all, this game looks really cool with the little minis that you have on the board. The gameplay is so interesting. It is so interesting. I really like this one. It's as far as a 2-player game, kind of you kind the battle that it creates is so fun. I love this one, and this is my number. What was it? 56 Raptor.
Nice. Yeah.
Have you played this one?
I haven't played this.
Oh my God.
Played it a few times at the cafe and never got around to teaching me. I don't know if she.
You have to play it.
Copy?
Yeah, I have this.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, I do want to try this for sure.
Yeah.
Bruno Cathala, did he do this?
Yeah, I want to say yes, but it's not showing on my picture, so
okay.
I'm not going to commit just in case it's not.
I'm not going to commit. That's nice. All right, well, mine has a kind of a similar theme to it. It's my number 55 is Barrenpark.
Oh yeah, exactly the same.
Not quite as mean.
Sure.
I don't know, maybe they could be as mean, but not as large as some of them, I guess. But yeah, so this one is a really nice tile laying game. One of my favorite tile laying games, actually. And so simple. You are just basically Tetrising in this on your board, these tiles to surround or to complete your board, but then leave this little space open for your statue, because you want to be the first one to get the high point statues. And those are just on your player board. You all have start with these square player boards. There's this one square that has a statue. So you're trying to complete the board to get that statue. But every time you put a tile down, you will most likely cover up something. And now it'll be a type of truck on there, and depending on the color of truck, that is the tile that you'll get to draft. So if you cover up a green truck, you're going to just take some of the small tiles, like it's like a water stream, or like a park, or a little bathroom, which is like a one tile. But then if you cover up, I think it's a white truck, then you get to go to some bigger tiles that will fill in more space. They're all normal Tetris shapes. And then if you cover up this orange truck, I believe, then you go to these big kind of wacky shapes. So you have to plan those ones out, but they are big points as well. Most of the tiles will have points on them. So then there's another spot where it's like a construction site. If you cover that up, you get a whole other board to hook onto beside your player board. And once you've completed 4 of those, I believe, that's what triggers the end of the game. Then you also have these goals that you're all racing to get to. So some of the goals might be 3 polar bear enclosures, or something might be you need to connect 3 or 4 lakes together. And so it's really neat, because there's so many of these goals that every game you grab 3, and there's probably 20. So it's just a different game that you're kind of racing to every time. And it's just so satisfying completing your board with Tetris shapes. I don't know what it is, who invented this, but they knew that it was going to be addicting, because getting those shapes in there to fit is just so satisfying. I don't know why, but it is awesome. And I love this game. And that's my number 55, Barrenpark.
Yeah, I've played this for the first time at your house. I taught it once in at FallCon. But yeah, it's not one that I own. But yeah, it's a cool one. Yeah, all right, my number 55 is another animalish game. And this is Creature Comforts. So I played it for the first time at Gobfest. And it was funny because we sat down to play. We played it. Everybody at that table by the end of that day owned this game.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So,
I remember that.
First of all,
down the street to P. Medway to grab those.
Yeah.
Copies. Yeah.
Now, so the picture here is not a Kickstarter copy. The Kickstarter copy is spectacular. The trays, the wooden components for absolutely everything. The wooden components here, honestly, it's still a really good game. What's really interesting is you have your 2 dice and you roll them. And you could see what you have. And you have on the board all these different locations that you can go to. And depending on what is out there, what dice you need to activate them. And once you have your 2 dice rolled, so you have like, okay, well, I know I got these 2 numbers coming up. What do I want to do? Some of them you can kind of like, okay, well, I can go here and you can use any dice to activate. It just depends at what level you'll be able to do. The bottom and the side portion mainly. Some of them are more along the top sides. Okay, well, if you have 2 of the same dice, you can get this. Or if you have dice that totals to more than this amount, then you can do this. Or if you have 3 dice that are less than this value when you add up all the pips, then you can activate this. So there's all these different things that you need to decide. And then you start sending your guys to the different locations of what you want to activate. Now, you don't block each other away. I can go one spot, somebody else can still go there as well. Then, once we've all decided where we're going to go, we roll 4 more dice that we have no idea what those are going to be. And then you're going to roll that. And based on the locations you've reserved and the dice you've rolled, then you start saying, okay, I wanted to do that. I'm not doing that. I don't have the dice at all in order to be able to accomplish that. So that was just a waste. So you're not accomplishing that unless you have the little band-aids that you've accumulated that allows, I call them band-aids because I think they are band-aids, but it's like a plus or a negative. Yeah. And they're called lessons in the game. Lessons, but right. You can manipulate the value of the dice for it to go up 1 or down 1 so it can help make certain things happen, right? And then but it's kind of like a set collection because you're collecting all these cards and then based on what you have, these cards are worth this. So it's like, okay, well, I have soup and it's worth this. But if I have the soup along with a sandwich, then it's worth more. Or I have a mittens, now it's worth this much. Or I have a bookshelf, it's worth this. But if I put stories in my bookshelf, it's going to be worth more for every stories you put in there. But everything costs the different resources as well. So you got to collect a resource in order to get those things added to your board. Because basically you're going through the 3 seasons, spring, summer, fall, in order to get a cozy winter. So you're trying to set yourself up to be all cozied up for the winter. Artwork is super cute. The gameplay, the theme of it, the art, what you're doing, like has a really cutesy theme to it. I remember when I played this with Lily for the first time, that won her over. Then you have all the different little animal creatures you can play as. So definitely table present cuteness factors, huge. But the game with the selecting of the action and the dice and not knowing what you're gonna get, and then do you push and try for that really tough one, even though I have none of those dice yet? Like, it's so neat. It's so satisfying. I really enjoy this one. So that is my number 55, Creature Comforts.
Yeah, it's really good. And you can collect board games in this.
Yes.
There's only about 3, I think, 3 or 4, but you can do it. Yeah, that's a good one. All right, my number 54 is a 2-player only game, and this is Targi. Now, this is literally a card game that you do have 3 workers. Right. 3 Targis, I believe they're called, or Targia or something. And you have a grid of cards. It's interesting because the player board is basically made up of these cards. And around the outside is where this one gray Targia is going to move around the board. And wherever this person moves to, you can't go across from them. So you are each going to place yours in a different spot, but you're going to place them so that you can intersect too, because, so say if I put one on like the middle of the left side and then one on the bottom right, wherever those two connect, I'm going to place a token there at the end of the round. So you're going to place out these 3 and you're going to go one at a time. And then wherever you connect, you'll place these tokens. And then depending who's first, you get to do all your actions. And what you're trying to do is you're collecting some resources, but you're really trying to build up a bunch of these different types of Targia cards. And when you build one card, you will place it in your tableau, and you have a 4x4 grid. Is it 4x4, 4x5? I can't remember right now. I think it's a 4x4.
I forget what the size is.
But you will place this card down, and then next time you place one, you have to decide if you want it in that row or if you're going to start a new row, because the rows want to have the exact type of the same type of card or all different. And if you have them mixed up, then you won't get points for those rows. So you kind of have to figure out, okay, I'm going to try and go for like this type in this row and maybe this one, but you don't see what's out because like for the whole game, you only see what's out on the board right now. Once you've taken a card that you've played in your tableau, then the complete opposite card will come out. So it's either resources or these Targia, I'm going to call them cards, but they're different. There's like Camel Riders, there's Oasis cards, but those are the ones you're putting in your tableau. But everything else is a resource. So if you've built that, then a resource is going to go there. And if you've intersected a resource, you're going to take those resources and then one of the building cards will go there. And it's just a really neat way of playing because you have to think of the intersection. And if you go somewhere, you're literally blocking someone from going across from you. So there's times that happen where I literally can only do one intersection because I've been blocked 2 ways. So I can only do, 2 on the bottom, 1 on the top kind of thing. And I can't put 3 out. But it's a really, really cool game because you only can have so many resources as well. So you can't just hoard resources and then buy all these cards. Once you get to a certain point, you have to give them up. And then as this gray, I don't know if it's a robber, I think, as he moves around the board, every corner he gets to, you have to pay up. And you have to pay either victory tokens or resources. So you have to make sure you have enough of those or you're paying points. It's such a simple concept of a game, but it's so good and so unique. I love this one. You can also play this one on BGA, but it's nice, of course, in person on the board. And that's my number 54, Targi.
Yeah, Targi is cool. It is so interesting. So interesting because it's not just placing your workers. You're really planning and trying to get, I'm going to put it there. Please don't go there. Please don't go there. Please don't go there. Right?
I need that coin. Coins are so hard to get. So everyone blocks each other out from the coins.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Targi is an amazing game. Great pick. All right. My number 54 is another amazing game. And I remember playing this one for the first time and I was so impressed with it. And that is Galaxy Trucker. So it's a pick up and deliver game, but it's a real-time game because it plays in 2 phases. The first phase is you need to build your spacecraft. And what's going to happen is going to be all of these tiles all face down in the middle of the board, and you're going to pick one up, and you're going to bring it on top of your board. Then you can flick over and look at what it is and be like, I don't need that, and you can put it back on the table face up now. And then you're going to grab another one and bring it over, and I'm like, oh, I could use this, and you're going to put it in there. And some of the stuff that you're going to add to, because it has to connect properly in order to fit. And some of the things are going to have boosters to make you move forward. The more boosts you have, the more you're going to move forward because there's a player board that's going to keep track of your position where you are from the other ones, the other players, and from reaching the end as well. So you want to have boost power ideally. Now you can also add lasers, and you can have these lasers pointing in any different ways because if meteorite comes and starts hitting you, you want to be able to shoot them. Or if bad guys attack you, like our aliens attack you, you want to be able to shoot them as well. So you got to put that on there. But some of these lasers and some of these boosters are going to need power. So some of them are battery operated. So you're going to need to have the power supply to be able to send the batteries to activate them when you need to. So then you have to have the power supply for that. Plus you're going to need to have cargo space to be able to collect some of these goods that you're going to come across on your mission or on your trip journey, to be able to bring them back. Because what you collect, if you makes to the end, you can sell. Certain things are worth more. And then you need to have space to have like kind of living space on this ship to be able to have your astronauts on there. So, because your ship's aren't going to run itself. And then once you've built all of this, then be like, and it's a speed thing. It's like, okay, well, I think this is good enough. So then it's like, okay, I'm done. Then you flip the timer over. Now everybody else has that much time to finish their ship as well. This will guaranteed piss some people off. Because if you're one of those person who are meticulous, this will drive you crazy. So then once it's done, you looking at your ship, make sure everything is legal. If it's not legal, you lose port of it. If you have any section that have the connectors, like, because they all has to connect, right? If you have an exposed connector, that is a weak spot on your ship. Then you're going to start going through the travel. And I think it's card that you flip that, like, you go through and then be like, oh, there's meteorites. And you roll the dice to see where it's going to hit. And you have like a number associated all around the board. It's like, oh, it hits on this side. Oh, great. I don't have any lasers on that side, so that hits. Oh, great. It's an exposed connector, so that breaks. So then it's like, oh, great. That was connecting all this other part, so all of that portion of my ship is broken off now. So you're trying to make your way through. Plus, for every broken pieces, you're going to have to pay for it, right? So there's that to consider also. And then it's like, okay, we made it at the end. My ship is battered. It was like, I've only have one resource left now, but okay, this is, I've made the trip though, at least, or whatever. So the whole thing is so interesting. It's so neat. It's chaotic, but so like most, real-time games can be for sure. But I really, really like this one. And it's just such a neat game, and that is Galaxy Trucker. Now, I have the first edition. They've reprinted it. There's a second edition. I've seen it with amazing trays and organizers. But yeah, just a really good game.
This is one game I do not like.
Really? Oh, that's so funny.
I think it's probably about the building of the ship. It doesn't interest me at all. And so I was like, what? Where's this part going and all that? And I'm just like, no, I don't know. It just played it. I think I've even played it more than once. Gave it a second try.
That's funny, because that's the part that's the most fun for me.
Yeah, no. And I think I probably lost almost on my whole ship the first game. So it was like, what? What do you mean everything's destroyed? So yeah, not for me. I understand it is a good game, just not for me.
That's hilarious.
All right, my number 53 is an old one, and this is Five Tribes. This is
so good.
Really unique game. The player or the game board is made up of all these square tiles, and there's all these different colors meeples that are placed on there randomly. And you all do like an auction for the player turn order. And then on your turn, it's really cool. You'll pick up meeples from one tile and you will, in Mancala style, drop them off on tiles like consecutively as you go, and they have to all touch each other, not diagonal. They have to be orthogonal. And then once you get to the last tile, you'll drop your last meeple, and that will be the action that you do, depending on the color of the meeple you drop. If there's other of that same color, that kind of strengthens your action. So there's all different colors of meeples. They all do different things. This is a game you can't plan for, because literally the board changes every turn. So you don't really, like, you might be something you're wanting to do, but don't get too tied to what you think you're going to do, because it's not going to happen. But it's really neat because you there's all different things you can do. You can build your oasis. You can build your, is it camels that you put out? You can I guess hire these gins, and these are like these big chunky cards that will either give you end game bonuses or in-game bonuses throughout the game. You can go to the market and you can purchase these items or hire workers, and the workers will help you with the gins, make them a little bit cheaper. You can do like the red ones. I want to say they're bandits, but that's not the word they are called. There's something else, but then you can destroy other people's that they've collected. So it can be like, there's some, take that in this game, but you can just collect some like elders, I think they're called, and they will just give you points at the end of the game. All different ways to like victory in this game. And it's just so neat. I never spend a dime on the player turn order because
really ever?
It never matters.
Oh my gosh.
Like I don't get tied to anything because it doesn't matter unless there was one thing I wanted to get this first round, but I don't know if I've ever spent money on that. So I
regularly do.
At the end of the game. Do you? Yeah, no.
So when you spot something, I was like, oh, that would be such a great move. Oh, I need to go quick. Hopefully nobody sees it. Okay, I'm bidding $5. But then it's auction. Who knows? I'm out of control with auctions.
True. But it's such a cool game, and I really love it. Yes. And that's my number 53, 5 tribes.
Nice. This is funny because our friend Travis put this in his top 50 list. And he's like, but I hated it. It's like, why did you put on your list? I was like, because I think I would love it had I played it under the proper circumstances. And then he played it again. He's like, I didn't like it still. Now, this is one that there's a lot to consider. Yeah. It's going to be a brain burner to kind of see all the options. So if somebody has a lot of analysis paralysis, you're going to feel it. But, so good. So good. All right, my number.
It's hard to do take backsies in this one because if you've dropped
you kind of can't. Yeah.
You won't remember which ones you've dropped. So, yeah.
For sure. You got to like have them lay down and stand up so you can see the difference, but then that's easy to forget. So, All right, my number 53 is a party game. And it's one that my cousin in New Brunswick introduced to us, and me and my siblings, and now all of us own a copy of it. And it's one of those where you play multiple times. It could be like the whole evening we played just this. I brought this to my in-laws, and that was the only game that got played all night long. I think we played 12 times in a row. And that is Bang the Dice Game. It is just so satisfying to play. So with Bang is everybody has a secret identity, except for the sheriff. The sheriff will reveal who they are. And the sheriff's goal is to get rid of the renegade and the outlaws. And if that happens, the sheriff and the deputy wins. The deputy's role is to help the sheriff. And the outlaw's role is to get rid of the sheriff and the deputy. And the renegade's role is to be the last man standing. That's how they win. But only the sheriff knows who they are. So everybody else kind of is bluffing. And then we played, I was like, I'm shooting the sheriff. I was like, I thought you were my deputy. I was like, I am, but I'm bluffing. Okay. I was like, but I wasn't. I was the renegade. I'm like just going after everybody. But like, so, because you'll roll the dice and the dice can do one thing. Well, a few things. So if it has a target of 1, you're going to shoot a person 1 space away per dice. So if I've rolled 2 target of 1, I could spread them and hit people on either side of me, or I could put them together and hit both the same person, right? And they take 2 hits, and then your health is the bullets, and you would lose bullets. If it has a target with a 2 in it, you hit 2 players away. Now, as players die, that's going to change as who those people are. If you do the Gotland guns is everybody's going to take a hit. And if you roll a beer, that's going to heal you by 1. Or somebody else, if you decide to give your beer away to somebody else, you can do that. And I was always like, okay, here, Sheriff, here's a beer. Because I'm the deputy. And I'm not. But, and then there's dynamite. And if you roll a dynamite, that dice is blocked. You can't re-roll because it's Yahtzee. You get 3 rolls. Now, if you ever roll 3 dynamites, it explodes in your face. Turn is over. You lose a health, but you still get to assign the other dice you had roll if you have anything you can assign. And then there's the arrows, because if you roll an arrow, you get shot and you take one of the arrow. Now, it doesn't hurt right away. But if all the arrows have been distributed, then everybody has to put the arrows back in the middle and you take that many hits. So if you end up with 4 arrows, you're taking 4 hits now. But it is just so interesting. Such a neat, quick game. And it's just a hoot. Like, I love this game. Everybody I've played it with really like it. There's always been like, I'm playing with my friends, my cousins, and my cousin's partner is like shooting the sheriff, and he's like, oh, I don't think I'm understanding this. I don't think I should have shot him, and he's the deputy, right? So we're all going after him like, well, you're the deputy. Why are you shooting the sheriff? I was like, I don't know. But it's so good. It's so good. This is like one of my most played party games. Like I mentioned, we all own it, and it's just an amazing, amazing game.
Yeah, I love Bang the Dice game. But nobody will play it with me. They don't like it around me.
What is with your people?
Well, no, it's like, I don't even think my family likes this. I'm thinking I'm going to make it again because I like it.
Oh, so good. It's so good.
Yeah, I like it too. Awesome choice. All right, my number 52 is a big campaign game. A big campaign game. The biggest I've ever played. And this is Agemonia. Now, ironically, I have 19 plays of this, just like you had of Jaws of the Lion.
Nice.
Now, the first, I'd say 15, maybe 12 to 15 plays, I was in love with this game. And that's why I'm saying this one might actually move like closer to 100, just because it's starting to get a bit samey.
Oh, yeah.
The first 12, 15 games were all quite different, but now it feels like we played a big one yesterday. And it just kind of feels like it's so much work to figure out all the iconography and the rules and stuff that, like, I don't know. We played the game wrong, so we had to replay it. Luckily, the second time around, we understood everything, so it was a lot better. But it's a big adventure game, and same kind of thing, like a dungeon crawl. You are trying to complete all these missions, and it's beautiful. Like, every one is different, and it's like an open a book that you open, and that there's the map, and they're all different, like, beautiful colored maps and completely different from each other. That's not the thing, but what you're doing is you have an adventure basically, and I think the mistake we made is we're doing 2 each, and for me, I'm having a hard time with who I'm playing at the time. Cherry's always got to be like, no, it's that one. This is the one you're moving right now. And I'm like, oh, I should have just played one. But anyway, it's still fun, but it's just starting to like lose its like luster for me, because another reason is because we probably hadn't played it in over a month. So then when we pull it back out, there's things we kind of have to like remember. If you were to play this kind of once a week, I think you'd have no problem jumping in and just knowing, everything and all the rules and all the little like finicky rules in it. But it is a really good game. And so how this one is played is different from Gloomhaven, where that one is just a card driven controlled game, where this one is more dice. And so you do have cards, but those are your items and things and weapons and stuff that you have under your player board. But you are basically driven by dice. So every time you're going to do a check of some sort, you have to roll dice. So you do rely on that kind of luck. You can mitigate those dice in ways, but if you're being attacked, you have to roll dice. And depending what your powers are, if you have some strength or some extra intelligence, you get to roll more or less of those dice. It's a really neat game. And like I said, the first 12 to 15 were just absolutely awesome. But I think for me, I am not a long-term campaign person. I'm the, 10 to 12 games and I'm good, because like I said, like we're in level 3. I think we go up to level 5. I'm still going to finish it. I'm not going to quit it because it was like a lot of money, and it is a really good game. I'm just finding like you, after 19 games, like I could almost be done, but I'm too greedy. I have to see what else is in this game, because there's also stuff we haven't gotten into. There's like some puzzles and stuff that we haven't done, like puzzly scenarios, which I'm kind of looking forward to. But just like you, yeah, those, because of our game collection, I think it's just, you can't have the one kid all the time with you. You have to.
You gotta love them all.
Change it up. You gotta love them all. So yeah, it's just a me thing. It's a really awesome game, but yeah, I am gonna finish this thing, but it's definitely, I won't dive into another giant one like this, because there's no way I could do Gloomhaven either. I do have Jaws of the Lion. I played through solo. I don't think I finished it solo, but I thought I'll keep it and I would do that one because it's a bit of a shorter campaign.
Nice.
But this one, yeah, it's a long one. And yeah, just like I said, really good game, but probably not going to enter into those big long ones after this one. But that's my number 52, Agemonia.
Nice.
Agemonia. I'm not sure how they actually pronounce it, but
I guess if you kind of, it'd be Agemonia. Possibly, but I could see.
Yeah.
Well, G with an E, I think it makes it soft, so it'd be Agemonia.
Yeah, I know a lot of content creators call it Agemonia, so I don't know. Not sure what the right pronunciation is, but
who knows? Max does. The creator. All right. Okay, my number 52 is a cooperative game, and with cooperative game, I like my co-ops to beat me up. And this one most definitely do that. If I play a co-op game, I was like, oh, that was easy. That bugs me. That I want to win maybe once out of every 4 games. Then it's like, okay, that's like my sweet spot. Then I'm like enjoying it because it's so hard. And this one is, and this is The Captain is Dead. This is basically Star Trek, but without the actual IP, but you could see the influence all throughout the game. The captain is dead. We're being surrounded by aliens and are to go into warp speed. The warp speed machine thing is broken, so we got to fix it. And everything is going wrong. And it's just hilarious. So, and everybody, like, you play as a different character. Everybody has different abilities and we have different skills. And you can accumulate different skill cards because depending on what needs to be done, what type of skills needs to be spent to do that. But you have, like, the infirmary, the science lab, the engineering bay, the cargo hold. You have, like, the bridge and all this stuff. Like, so all these different things that you can do. But every round, like, kind of like pandemic style, like each round you're gonna flip over some bad cards and then that happens, and so you're gonna kind of fix what's going wrong at the same time trying to fix what you need to fix to be able to make it out. I've won this game once and we played it at my house one time. And I think we're almost top player counts. I think this will play up to 5, 6, maybe more. But we were like 5 players, and so I don't know if having more players helped. Maybe it did, but I mean, like it at 2 players, you got some nasty cards that you can ignore and that sort of stuff. But I just absolutely love this game. It is just so. And then like you have the one guy that was wearing the red shirt. He just every time he would take a hit, he just kind of reappears. So he doesn't have to get healed per se. Otherwise, if you're hit, you got to make it to the infirmary to get healed so you can go again. And then if there's aliens that starts to make their way, well, they got to shoot the aliens before you can do other actions in those rooms. It's so neat. I absolutely love this game and the strong Star Trek feel to it. So cool. But yeah, hard. So hard. And that is The Captain is Dead, my number 52.
Awesome. All right. My last one on the list here is Marrekesh. Now, this one is one of my favorite Stefan Feld games. It's one of his bigger, newest, not his actual newest, but one of his newest games in the City series. This one, did you ever play your copy yet? I know you got it, but I don't know if you ended up playing it.
Yes.
You did?
This is pictures of it at my house.
Oh, okay. Perfect. So what you were doing is you start with all these little colored cylinders, and you're going to choose 3 of them each round, and you're going to put your hand out, and everyone will choose different actions, and you'll place your pawns in those actions. You have this big player board. Everybody has this huge player board. And then someone will grab all those little cylinders and put them in this really cool cube tower and throw them in there. And then whatever comes out the bottom, not all of them will come out, those will be the actions you can select this round. So what you do is you go in turn order, and you'll draft these cylinders. My dog is whining because it's like 2 minutes past his supper.
We're almost done.
He thinks I'm starving him now. 2 minutes.
You can do it.
Terrible. But anyway, so if you hear a little cry, that's him at the door. Like, I'm past my supper. We'll be getting fed soon, Oz. Anyway, so the game. So what you're doing is drafting these cylinders, and then you are doing those actions. Or you're placing them on your board. You're only doing the actions of the pawns you're placing. And there's all different kinds of things you can do. Each action kind of gives you different things you can do. Like you can move up these 2 tracks. So there's like a black track and a white track, and moving up that track will give you things to wherever you connect to the bottom. There's like a little line that'll go wherever you've jumped up. You'll look down, and wherever that's connected will be a little bonus. You want to try to get to the top because there's some really good rewards near the top. There's like a spot where you can just collect. I always call them raisins, but they're dates. When you collect, that's one of the resources. However many of your cylinders you have there, and they will all stay there throughout the whole game. So your actions will get more powerful throughout the game. You can collect resources there. You can go up this river, and as you move along the river, you get some cool things. And if you are the furthest one up the river in the round, there's only 3 rounds, but they are quite lengthy rounds. You will get some points and some resources possibly. You can build these little, not bridges, not castles, walls, these like walls that you will place around this like shielding spot where you can stick then one of your little cylinders under that, and it will give you an extra bonus as well. And you'll want to kind of build those up around to protect the things in the middle there. You can also, purchase some tiles, and those will give you like kind of a set collection, or they'll give you in-game bonuses or end-game points. Those I haven't delved into a whole lot, and that's probably why I have never won this game, because I always like when I see a player board like this, I want to do a bunch of everything, and that never works out. Not in a Euro game, but I still do it. I don't know why, but Yeah, so you really need to kind of focus on a few of the areas. There's another area on the top left where if you go, you can reveal an end game tile, and that can really give you like a path to how you're going to play your game. I do get those going because those are really good. There's, what else is there? There's that little market where you can place the yellow, purple, or orange cylinders. And then those you can use to buy tiles as well. And that's kind of another set collection thing. But it's just a lot going on, just like, true Steffenfeld point salad game. But it's also satisfying how it all works together and just choosing which way you're going to try to go in this game. And I just love it. And that's my number 51, Marrekesh.
Yeah, I was impressed with this one at just how much. And it seems like, it's a considerable teach. There's a lot that you need to be aware of. But when we were playing the game, it didn't feel hard. Like, even though there's all this stuff going on, it's not a game that's like, wow, this is a heavy...
No, it doesn't feel... It looks like it, but
it looks like it.
It's like, oh, it all makes sense. Like, it's all pretty simple of what everything does. Yeah.
But the action selection with having the cubes, and then the cube you put into the thing doesn't have to be the cubes you collect.
No.
So that was really interesting. Yeah, no, Marrekesh was cool.
A lot of Steffenfeld games they look really crunchy, and then when you learn them, it's like, oh, that's not that hard.
That's not so bad. Yeah.
Anyway. But yeah.
Very nice. All right. The last game for this installment for me is another Roberta Taylor game, and this is Café Baras. This is a cute, quick card game. And it's one of those that have like really angst creating decisions you got to do, because you got like, it's the multi-use card games. Okay, so this is great. I want to add a DJ into my cafe, and then that's going to be giving me this ambiance, which is great because this card gives me these points. Oh, wait a minute, I don't have the money for that. Okay, well, what can I fulfill? Which order can I fulfill to bring me the most money? Oh, I could fulfill this order. Oh, wait, that's the DJ I want. So that happens all the time. It's like, well, this would give me the most money, but I was really hoping to keep that card. I was like, okay, well, what else can I was like, okay, well, this would give me a couple of coins. That's not so bad, but then I'm going to have to do it twice in order to get that card. And then it's like, but then, so it's, those kind of decisions happens all the time, but it is so satisfying. So you have this, because you have your little capybara, and then you building the cafe, and you have to add different things to the menu or bring different things to the ambiance of your cafe as well. But then you have to fulfill orders. And if you ever are able to fulfill an order where you have everything they're interested in and the proper ambiance, they become a regular. And having 3 regulars triggers the end of the game. So it is very simple to play. It is so cute. Like, the artwork, the theme, everything is so neat. But all those decisions, they'll just kind of like, oh, okay, great. It's like, okay, where'd my table go? Did I sell my table? Because it's like, what happened to it? And it's like, because you don't realize, and once you start concentrating on, oh, I can fulfill this. Oh, I have soup. I can do this. So it's like, okay, great then. But then it's like, oh, wait. That's that card I really wanted, because I'm trying to get all these different teas. Because if you have all these different teas, they multiply each other. So those, I love what she did with this game. It is so interesting. It is but it plays quick and it's neat. Big fan of Café Baras, and that's my number 51.
Yeah, this is an awesome game. I love it as well. Good choice.
Yes.
All right.
So we are done. Our first half.
Yeah. That's the bottom 50.
The bottom 50 of our top 100.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
Yes. So we're getting to the really, really good stuff now. Mm-hmm. Although, you know what? When we have as many games as we have, top 300s honestly are amazing games.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's great. So this was the installment for this one. So next one we're gonna do from 50 to 41. But before we call it quits, Carla, where can we find you?
I'm on Instagram at boardgamespecialist, all one word. And on Facebook, I have a page called Red Deer Board Game Fanatics. What about you?
So we have a Discord channel. Be sure to join us on that. We've been pretty active on there. Actually, you've been really active posting all of these pictures, which is nice. Because Carla, normally at first, she never took pictures.
I didn't. So I really started. I don't know. Maybe you're all getting sick of me posting all the games I play pretty much. But
no, mostly when I wasn't playing, I'm like, oh, what is everybody playing? So it's great. I love it. So we do have a Discord. Be sure to check us on there. I am on Instagram at Mel's_boardgame_room. My Facebook page is Mel's Board Game Room. I also have a YouTube channel called Mel's Board Game Room. So yeah, thanks so much for tuning in, everybody, and we'll see you at the next one.
Bye for now.
Bye.